Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling Review series. We are looking at the 26th of May, 1990, here on Superstars. And, there are notable things here. Episodically speaking, there is a Jake Roberts match to kick us off. Of course, Jake Roberts in 1990, still coming off of the actually getting ready for a move into Bad News Brown as a feud. But before that, Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase was his feud. Bob Bradley is his opposition for this particular episode. Bradley, of course, a major star in the era in World Class, which, if you haven't already listened to, our entire 340 episode edition of running through World Class from 82 through 88, which is what's available. Definitely worth doing that. Roberts working the arm early, and does the tip up and over. By the way, some people have said you can hear my heater in the background. My apologies for that. I record when I can, and sometimes that distraction is there. My apologies for that. Anyway, so it is interesting because Roberts really is, a number two baby face in the area. And for another year, for 1990, maybe number three baby face, but for another year through 1990 into summer of 91, he's a big deal. Bradley, who is 6 or 7 years into a career as both an enhancement talent, but a standout in World Class, as mentioned. Hits a handspring elbow here. Actually, doesn't get the elbow part, but does hit handspring. Short clothesline and a DDT later. Jake Roberts is your victor. Again, they are pumping the Roberts versus Brown feud, which, for someone who saw one of their matches on the New England tour, yeah, not exactly terribly enjoyable there. We move to a Hart Foundation match with the enhancement talent. By this point, the Hart Foundation baby faces coming off of a match at WrestleMania 5, or actually WrestleMania 6, I'm sorry, with the Bolsheviks. They literally got 30 seconds, 17 seconds, something crazy. Neidhart is obviously more your power guy. Hart, you're more technician. Hart breaks off in '91 to go singles after losing the tag titles at WrestleMania 7. But here, they're still trying to get back in line for matches with Demolition. And, Demolition has not turned heel yet. That heel turn is coming. And so, actually coming within the next few months here, and basically that challenge is there. I remember at the time being a Bret Hart fan. I actually remained a Bret fan until about late '93. His feud with Jerry Lawler is kind of what turned me on Bret. To be completely honest, I had enjoyed Bret in the Hart Foundation. I had enjoyed Bret up until '93, and then he just kind of got a little whiny for me. Like, even as a kid, I was like, you know what? He complains a lot, and he didn't do himself many favors there. Of course, the Hart Foundation run for Jim Neidhart, probably the best thing he ever did and ever had in a national company. Of course, that running 86 through 91 ish, something like that, 90. So about a 4 year run. Neidhart does try singles. It just never took off for him. And I remember seeing him in some singles matches, even on house shows, and you could definitely see that having a partner was beneficial to him. Kurt Hennig, who is currently your Intercontinental Champion, really sad that the episode from the 19th, which would have been the Intercontinental Championship win, is not available anywhere because I love the Santana and Hennig match. Bobby Heenan is now the manager of Mr. Perfect, which I think for Hennig was great. I always thought having a manager helped Kurt over the years. I mean, he could talk for himself, but having that extra push is there. Heenan being the manager made sense at the time. Heenan would kind of manage the more pure wrestler types. Jimmy Hart would manage your major gimmicks. Anyway, punches, kicks, and really basic stuff by Hennig. Hennig with some really aggressive chops, though. Obviously, he moves into or away from the feud with Beefcake because of the Paris Stanley accident. Beefcake is in on the 4th of July weekend. That moves him into a feud with Texas Tornado Kerry Von Erich, which I'm sure we'll talk about more as we go forward. Really basic match, though. Perfect Flex, otherwise known as the Fisherman Buster, and a major deal. Amazing to me how much merchandise is around at the time. Omar Atlas and Jim Brunzell up next in an enhancement role. Omar Atlas, I believe, was the first match for Jesse Ventura all those years ago. So useful note there. Anyway, Rhythm and Blues, and they are Greg Valentine, the Honky Tonk Man. Good resurgence for the Honky Tonk Man at the time, who kind of floundered for a bit of 1989. I mean, he did have some rematches with the Warrior early in the year. A short run, 6 months maybe, with Jimmy Snuka in the latter part of the year, 1989. But this tag team, which, depending on who you believe, they were promised the tag team championships that didn't come together, but at the time, the Rhythm and Blues tag team was a guilty pleasure favorite for, I remember kids at my elementary school really liking Rhythm and Blues. I don't know why, but it was a thing. There were a group of about 6 or 8 wrestling fans, male and female, oddly enough, who were pretty avid watchers. I was jealous because they got the NWA and had cable and I didn't. But anyhow, Irish whip and some really basic stuff. Shots to the midsection. Honky Tonk Man, a guy who I think I got to see him on one house show. Never got to meet him though, which is really sad. Back suplex and a win for Rhythm and Blues. Again, they're really basic stuff. They're doing the record and the singing and dancing. Ice cream bars. That's part of why I mentioned the merchandise. Ice cream bars. WWF ice cream bars. Those things were wonderful. Expensive, like $1.50 each. At least where I was as a kid. But they were super, super good and enjoyable. And you could get them cheaper in the ice cream trucks. If you could find a truck owner, they'd sell them for like 85 cents to $1. Anyway, Hulk Hogan on the Brother Love show up next. Hogan basically saying that Brother Love needs to be dealt with once and for all. And Earthquake is brought out as the other guest. Jimmy Hart comes out without the Earthquake, claiming the Earthquake has 105-degree fever. Hogan, grabs Jimmy Hart, basically says, produce him or else. Earthquake makes his way out and hits Hogan across the back with a chair. 2 or 3 Earthquake splashes. This is to get Hogan off the air to go film, I believe, Suburban Commando in the summer of '90. But what's amazing to me is, and listening back to this, Vince McMahon talks about let's go down and be closer to the Brother Love show. McMahon and Pat Patterson, among other office workers, are there to put Hogan on a stretcher and carry him out. And again, Hogan is not available for about 2.5 months until SummerSlam of '90. And they move through that with this angle, and I think that's something that I miss in today's wrestling. Now an injury angle and a guy's back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Giving people 3 months off, whatever, wouldn't work with today's, I guess, investment in talent, but it's still interesting. Rick Martel in an enhancement match next, and Martel at this point kind of, I mean, doing the model thing, but he hasn't gone with the more flamboyant pink or purple tights yet. Still, with the blue tights, hasn't really refined the model gimmick fully yet. That probably comes in this year. And I mean, he is doing the arrogance thing. It's there, but it's not fully flushed out. Um, the enhancement talent manages to get a couple of easy shots, but even something like a choke bomb and all of that is there. Kicks by Martel. Martel manages to win with the Boston Crab, gets a victory. They do the rope climb thing for Rick Rude. Rude, does the hand over hand upper rope, which, man, if you've never done that, um, the power it takes, the focus it takes, the endurance it takes, the strength it takes, just really massive. Rick Rude in probably the best shape of his career, physically, and amazing that he never got more of a run. Rick Hunter as the Gladiator is the uh, opposition for, and Gladiator, by the way, wearing a mask. Not odd that we see a masked heel here, but it does happen. Big Boss Man, just fresh off the babyface turn, post uh, right before WrestleMania 6. So a couple of months into a babyface run that lasts him through his last 3 years here. Bossman with a really awkward hip toss in this match. If you're kind of a wrestle crap kind of person, or if you have kind of an interest in things not going well, that one spot just is kind of awkward looking. Back elbow and big kicks by the Boss Man. Boss Man really doesn't change his style too terribly much, but as a babyface is a pretty big deal. And then, you know, Boss Man does hit the Boss Man slam, sidewalk slam, and gets the victory here with a one-handed pinfall. Does the handcuff to the ropes on the outside. That's kind of there. We go to the event center. Event center is hyping upcoming, I believe, Worcester matches still. Maybe doing a Boston Garden. But the Warrior talking about being champion, talking about all the challenges that lie ahead, Rick Rude specifically, because that's where they're going. Warrior at this time, in his peak physical condition, from I'd say '89 to through his maybe the beginning of 91 or through 90, 89, 90 peak for the Warrior. I tend to like the Warrior a little leaner. That's just my personal preference. Nothing to it except that preference. But that will close us for this week. We'll be back with some matches or some weeks from June of 90. Hopefully later today. But until then, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.